the chat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Would you please do that? So
Yeah, I'll do that.
yes, housekeeping. And Eileen, Greg, Karen, and anybody else. If you don't want to put your video on, that's totally fine. I'm okay talking to my dog. So that you see my name on there, Therese Fortin Barnes. That is me with my dog, but that is Scout Albertson right next to me, who's going to be monitoring the chat. So feel free to put anything in the chat, or feel free to take yourself. There he is. That's my cousin Greg and his wife Darlene. Feel free to jump on at any time. I don't mind you interrupting me ever, because I might be talking about something and you might want to ask a question at a certain time. So feel free to do that. Now, Scout, are you going to be watching for people to come in over there on the right-hand side? Do you have that little screen over there? Sorry, we just want to make sure, because we have more people coming in, and I'll try to pay attention to that. So in the chat, yes, Gary, put the link in there. That would be awesome.
And there is now currently a Name the Gnome contest, because there's a gnome is the mascot for the Healthy Lawns program. So I'll put information on that in there too.
Absolutely. And if any, yes, for sure.
Okay.
Because I am all about not spraying lawns, and I recently did an interview with an author, Carrie Gillum, who is she's an investigative reporter, and she also wrote 2 books basically about Monsanto and how bad Roundup is, and how bad the chemical glyphosate is, and how it's not just bad for our lawns, but it's in our water, and we are in almost all produce that is not organic, that it is causing havoc on our health and on our bodies. And it's really critical that the more we get word out there about these lawns being sprayed and these glyphosates. And Carrie has a saying that she said, would you rather have dandelions or would you rather have cancer? So it's a known carcinogens, and they have over 100,000 lawsuits against them, and it's still on the market. So spraying your lawn, I know people ask me all the time, well, what are alternatives? I'm going to work on alternatives. I don't mind dandelions. I like popping the little heads off the dandelions. I did it as a kid. I do it as an adult. So I'm not against dandelions. And so, but the glyphosate is, it's really just a horrible herbicide that is just in almost everything now. And then there's so much that I can talk about here, and I can't cover everything, but I appreciate everybody coming on this evening. We have a few more people that will be joining us. We have a couple special guests coming on, but I just wanted to thank everybody for coming on. Again, for those that don't know me, I am Therese Fortin Barnes. I am born and raised in Buffalo, New York, and I had an event planning business for 35 years. It might be longer, I'm not sure. But through the past 35 years since I got out of college in 1985, I have always been a health advocate and always been living a healthy, organic life that I possibly can, due to my mother. Thanks to my mother, who really had us living this life of no processed foods. It was just the way we were brought up. That's how I knew it. I went to college to open up a health food store. Actually, I was a major in business, a minor in health. I had this great plan to open up this supermarket so everybody could have healthy food. And it's now called Whole Foods, but I had nothing to do with it. So, but that was my business plan in college, and it came out of Party Planner. So I've had an event planning business for 35 years. January 2020, COVID hits, and I decided I was going to pivot into what I really have wanted to do my entire life, and it was to continue helping people get toxic and harmful chemicals out of their homes. And I had helped a handful of cancer patients, along with all my friends and people that came to me, but I had helped a handful of cancer patients going through their homes over the years, getting toxic chemicals out of their home and showing them where they could potentially be harming them. So the past year, I have been working on Green Living Gurus and this whole healthy living and toxic free movement. And here I am 1 year later. I have a blog, I have a podcast. We're in our 52nd episode, I believe, next week. And so that is who I am. That's what I've done. I grew up with this college, thanks to my mother. And but why am I doing this is always a question that I asked, because why don't you just continue on with your event planning, or do what you love, what anything else? Well, I'm really doing it because my passion is really to help people. And my passion is really, I am so sick of seeing people get sick, so sick of seeing people get ill and get cancer. And cancer can be prevented. I am a true believer in that. I have two people that are going to come on here tonight that will talk about how they had very aggressive cancers, and they both are true believers in avoiding cancer. And one has written a book, and the other actually has a book in the process. So we'll talk to them a little bit about that as well. But that's my true passion right now. And here comes Sue. Can you let her in? Do you see her there? And so that's my why. Why am I doing it? And it really hurts me to see people suffer from cancer and hearing about it. And I've had relatives get cancer. One is on here, my cousin Greg. Sorry for calling you out there, Greg GM, but you and your mom died of cancer, and that hurts me. And it goes back that far from my Aunt Ann, who was my mom's best friend. So, and then friends, and I have another uncle that just died of cancer 2 months ago. So I am on a mission, and I am on such a mission that I actually am sitting on some New York State advisory committees to fight for some of these laws to be changed in New York State. This week, I spent actually all day yesterday on an advocacy group that is from New York State, and we sat with all these different politicians and senators, and to change some of these laws. And they are already in the works. One's a SAFE Act for cosmetic industry, because they don't have to disclose all the ingredients. And it's absolutely absurd that they can get away with putting these products out there, and we are putting them on our skin and using them on our hair, and we are ingesting them. And these laws are archaic. And it's something that I have near and dear to my heart, to help as many people as I possibly can. Now, on that note, tomorrow is Earth Day, of course, we all know that. And Earth Day should be every day, but Earth Day is also celebrating outside what Mother Earth has given us. We're very fortunate. We all breathe the same air. We all use the same water, and it's really a movement to get everybody to realize we really need to make changes to take care of our Earth. And so on that note, I said we were going to toast Mother Earth. This is a nice organic bottle of wine that I have to talk about a little bit, because originally I was going to have Paula Paradise, who owns an organic wine store here in Buffalo, New York, talk about organic wine, but I will talk about it. But here we'll raise our glass to Mother Nature and her ever-changing ways. She's been full of fun, mischief, horror, and drama these past few days. By the way, if you're in Buffalo, New York, you know what I mean, because we got 6 inches of snow last night, and it's April 21st. She is the air we breathe through wind and breeze. The rain, storm, and the water and wine that we drink, the warmth from the sun during days and nights of exhausting heat. She is the provider of our home through plants, herbs, and trees. She definitely lets you know when her moods are crossed. Whoever you are, wherever you are, just don't piss her off. Cheers. So that's the Mother Earth. That'd be a fun way just to, we have to toast her. I'm doing this because of Earth Day tomorrow, Earth Week. Again, I said every day is Earth Day. And so we got Jenny coming in there. We have, and so I want to talk while I'm on that subject, and welcome Sue and Jenny. We're going to get to both of you momentarily, but while I'm on that subject, organic wine is, a lot of people don't understand organic wine. I mean, it is, you know, they don't spray it with pesticides, they don't spray it with herbicides, but why is it important? And I did an interview with an owner of an organic wine shop, as I mentioned before, Paula Paradise, and she really opened up my eyes quite a bit. I knew how I felt when I drank organic wine. I felt less, I just feel better when I drink it. But the pesticides and herbicides that they spray on organic wine are great, are just such a long list. I actually had to pull up the names because I'm like, what are these? Well, we don't know what they are. Can you see that? Those are some of the herbicides and pesticides that they are spraying. I can't pronounce them. I'm not even going to try to pronounce them. But there's so many of them. What Paula tells me is there could be over 75 different chemicals that they spray on different wines. And it strips the health of the soil, and it just is toxic for wine. But you don't know that, because if you don't, you know, they don't have to list anything on a wine bottle, even if they put food coloring in it, or if they put acidifiers in it, or other additives. So there's just, consider that when you're looking at wine. There are so many great bottles of organic wine that you can get out there that are, and you can Google it these days and just look online. I mean, I have so many that, I mean, from me, $10 and up. It's not like organic wine is that crazy expensive. This bottle I hear is like $17. So, and you cannot wash off pesticides off of wine. They say that some of the pesticides that are sprayed on wine, that when they've tested them before in the wine, are just as potent as they are when they actually spray the wine. So all those pesticides are going into your wine. So anyway, so that is wine. Anybody have any questions or anything you want to ask me about wine? There's so many different classifications of wine. There's biodynamic, there's natural wines that don't add sulfur. So there's a lot of different things that to consider wine, but honestly, that if you buy organic, I think you're pretty safe on that end. Any questions? Nope. Okay. So, so moving on, I just want, I took some polls out there about what people wanted to talk about. And one of the subjects and topics that was very, it got a lot of votes to talk about are personal care products and makeup. And personal care products and makeup there's actually, as I mentioned before, there's laws that are starting to change. California passed something recently, thank God, because New York State is to follow, that the ingredients in personal care products and makeup are soon going to have to be on the label. And this is huge. Now they're going to pass this, and of course it probably won't happen for a few years, but it's a step in the right direction, which then means typically once California and New York pass these laws, the rest of the states will pass them. And because with makeup and personal care products, whatever goes on your skin, on your lips, on your nails, on your eyes, under your arms, shaving cream, cologne, it's going into your system. So no matter what it is, it's going into your system. So it's always, always, always good to read your labels. Now, unfortunately, some of the labels don't have to list some of the ingredients. So I want to just talk to you about some of these ingredients just to pay attention to see if they are on your labels, see if they are on some of your products. So it's really best to know what some of these ingredients are, because then you can just pay attention when you go to the store and look and see, oh, fragrance. I'm never ever buy anything with the word fragrance on it. That's like probably the number one thing that I tell people when I consult with them and try to help them detox their home and lives is the word fragrance. It's so, it's a hidden word that the industry does not have to list any of the ingredients that are in the word fragrance. And this goes back many, many, many decades to the perfume industry that came out with this rule that said it was a proprietary thing, that we didn't want anybody knowing what was in our perfume. And so they didn't have to list their ingredients. So the word fragrance, you can make a product today, throw 50 chemicals in there, put it under fragrance, and you never have to list it on the label. So, and there's so many potential carcinogens in there, irritants, allergens that can cause so much harm to your skin and wreak havoc, you know, within your immune system. Your autoimmune disorders are caused. So there's so much to just pay attention to the word fragrance. The other, under fragrance, it could be perfume, it could be parfum, and it could be, there's a couple other words that, but those are really the main ones. So steer clear if it ever says the word fragrance. And fragrance can be in lipstick even. I mean, it can be in deodorant. I've smelled it in deodorant. I mean, there's just a lot of different areas. So just pay attention to that because of the chemicals that can be in there. Parabens is another chemical that you'll see on products these days that say paraben free often. Paraben is a preservative. So it's in so many different products, deodorants, lotions, shampoos, body washes, makeup, and there's parabens have been known to be a carcinogen even in the smallest amount. So parabens also can be an endocrine disruptor. So it can function as estrogen. So it can just create havoc with your hormones. Parabens are, it's very close to having them be banned, but they still aren't. They still are in a lot of different products. So just beware of the word paraben, P-A-R-A-B-E-N. And it's also been linked to breast cancer. And so you always want to definitely get a paraben-free product. And as I go through all this, these are things just to, I don't like to scare people. I just like to be knowledge, give you some knowledge. Knowledge is power. And just to be aware of these things. If there's even one ingredient that you're like, oh my God, I'm never going to use anything with the word fragrance again. Great, perfect, do that. If you have products, like don't feel like you have to go in your cupboard and say, oh my God, I'm throwing everything away. It's just next time you go to buy something, look at the label, look at the ingredients. Then you might realize that, oh my God, I don't want to buy something where I can't pronounce 10 of the ingredients. So so I don't want to be alarming and scaring anybody. I just want to be give you a little bit of knowledge here. So I just wanted to send that message as well. Formaldehyde is another one. Why formaldehyde is in makeup, I don't know, but it is. And it's crazy that it is, but it is listed as an ingredient in many different products, nail products, hair dye. That's some of the smells that you'll get from hair dyes and hair straighteners, false eyelashes and the adhesive for those, cosmetic glues, Shampoos have some formaldehyde as well, and that formaldehyde is known to cause or linked to causing cancer. I have to be careful, linked to causing cancer. And it also really can affect your immune system, which we all know we have to be very cautious of our immune systems these days. So we definitely want to avoid those as well. Sodium lauryl sulfate. Sometimes it'll say SLS. Sodium lauryl sulfate. Another ingredient in cream-based makeup products such as foundation for your skin, concealers, and it helps to absorb into the skin faster. So this chemical acne has been linked to and has caused many issues with people with some skin common skin problems. So it can block the spores of the skin. So that's another one. Lead is why lead is allowed. I'm not quite sure, but again, another ingredient that is in lipstick. And lead is a known neurotoxin. And it's been known to affect learning and behavioral dysfunction. So another one to be careful of. Lead is in products, even though it's banned in many other products out there. It's not banned in makeup. Petroleum distillates. This is an ingredient found in mascara, and it's also found in automotive oils and heating oils. So they put it in mascara, and it's a known cancer-causing chemical. And it also can affect your skin and cause rashes and dermatitis. And then synthetic colors are derived from petroleum and coal tar. And coal tar is made with hydrocarbons and water, which is thick and dark and has an unpleasant smell. And it's usually made to make darker colors. So anything that you wear makeup that has darker colors, lipstick, eyeshadow, anything like that, can have this product in it. Now, you know, when you're like, well, what am I going to wear? What am I going to, you know, there are alternatives out there. There are safer products out there. I actually have an Amazon store. My sister actually manages it for me because they're, we just list some of the products that we believe are safer and healthier for you on our Amazon store. And you can find that on the website. And full disclosure, we make about $5 a year on that store. And I'm being serious. Because I do it so I can just send people there so they can see some of the products that are out there and kind of get through the whole conglomerate of makeup out there. We just like to offer ones that we believe in. And then triclosan. Triclosan is found in antibacterial soap and deodorant, and it causes skin irritation, and it's also an antimicrobial agent. So it's in a lot of personal care products. This can also affect your endocrine system and disturb thyroid and testosterone. So this chemical is, it's also, they're linking it to early puberty, poor sperm quality, which is a huge issue right now, infertility, obesity. It's an obesogen. Obesogens are chemicals that cause you to gain weight, and that's what they're called, obesogens, just as it sounds, and cancer. So triclosan is just a horrible chemical. So children, when they're exposed to chemicals like these at an early age, they are a much greater chance of developing allergies, eczema, and asthma. So on that note, those are my top 9, I think it was, ingredients. There's so many more, but those are just some of them that are just ones to be cautious of. And I want to welcome Sue Moriel here, because Sue, if you want to take your, I'm going to tell you who Sue is. Sue is took charge of her own body, researched everything possible to lead herself to a healthy life and avoid as many chemicals as possible. She had she's a breast cancer survivor, and she changed what she had control over and took control of her body. And she made sure moving forward, she was going to avoid as many toxic cancer-causing chemicals as possible. And she's going to share with us a little bit of her recovery and her mission to help others, because she is on a mission. She and I are sometimes connected at the hip because we are on this charge to not let others suffer. And she suffered, and she just doesn't want anybody to have to go through what she has gone through. So she has her own story in Buffalo, New York. Give it a little plug. It's a great space. She has an online store. You don't have to be in Buffalo to enjoy it and shop there. And it's where beauty, experience, and wellness are supported by product that guides one's journey to well-being and living a healthy life. Welcome, Sue.
Hey, welcome. I know. Sorry if it's a little noisy. Sierra's over there making our dinner. So I just was like, she came in with the dog and the food, and it's like, but well, thank you for having me. And I'm really glad that you're doing this, because like you said earlier, knowledge is power, and you don't know what you don't know. So the more we can learn and the more that we can share, the more we can become informed about the decisions we make, because ultimately we get to choose, what we put in our bodies and what we put on our bodies. And I think that going through breast cancer at 41 years old, it opened my eyes up to a lot of things that, are out of our control, but then it opened my eyes to a lot of things that I could control. So I really started to look at, my food and what I was putting in my body, and then my skin products. Our skin is the largest organ of the body. I'm also a registered nurse, so I've always believed in taking care of yourself, and it starts with your insides. So looking at all the different skin products that we, especially as women, use, it was just mind-blowing to me. You covered, like, I have a list too. You covered all the ones that I have, and the only other couple ones I was going to say aluminum, with the deodorant, what kind of deodorant you're using, aluminum free. You're rubbing that under your armpit, your lymph nodes. They constantly would say, oh, it doesn't matter, it's not connected. But you know what? If you're rubbing something that's toxic every single day under your arm, I mean, I don't know if I agree with that. It's not, safe. And then I also had like mineral oil on there as well. But I think that it can get overwhelming, especially just trying to navigate and see, like, oh my God, am I not going to be able to use this anymore? Am I not going to be able to use that? But, fast forward from when I was first diagnosed, it's been 15 years. And honestly, I think they're doing a really great job of bringing a lot of products that are safe and healthy for you to use. And I like to follow along with the environmental working group, because they have a food section, and they also have a skin deep section where you can actually check your products and, see what's in them and get a better idea. But I also think, less is better for me. As I get older now, I don't wear as much makeup, and I really try to just minimize the different products that I am using. And when I'm going to use them, I'm definitely looking at the labels. So that's my 2 cents. Do you have anything you want to ask me, Therese? You know me. How come I can't hear her? She's muted. Oh.
I was muted. Sorry, I didn't want any background noise. So
yeah, I'm like, where is she? She asked me some questions.
I know. Environmental working group. Explain that a little bit for anybody that doesn't know that.
Well, that's a group that is dedicated to us, to the people, about teaching you about our environment and where we can find different information about our water, about our food, about our skincare. And it's really, really informative. For instance, every year they put out dirty dozens. So this year's 2021 Dirty Dozens, they give you a list of the foods that are the most loaded with pesticides, and then the ones that are clean. Because, you know, a lot of times people, you know, they look at affordability and they think, oh, I can't, you know, buy every single thing organic. But at least if you know the fruits and vegetables that are the most contaminated, you can put those on a priority list for yourself to make sure that you're buying those organic. So it's just really nice. They do all different articles. I love to go to it and look. They share different studies, and it's really a nice, it's a really nice app to have on your phone and to follow along with them.
Yeah, it is. It's great because you can scan in almost any product, and it will tell you from a level of 1 to 10 how toxic it is and if there's cancer-causing chemicals in that product, from lipstick to laundry detergent. And it's a whole, I forgot how many hundreds of thousands of products they have on there. And EWG, Environmental Working Group, just for anybody that doesn't know that. And Sue touched on water a little bit, because our Environmental Working Group also has, if you just do Environmental Working Group water, you can pull up the page on their website and plug in your zip code, and it will show you the contaminants in your water in the air, wherever you're getting your water from. And it will show you what potentially is, not potentially, what's in your water, because they take the water reports from your water supplier, and then they analyze that. So they kind of they put it in English terms, because if you've ever taken your water report from your actual water company, like I did, and I'm reading it, it looks like I'm reading Greek. So it was kind of nice that they take that and they put it into English for us. So there's just a lot of tips that they have on their website. It's phenomenal what they do. I am probably on their website 3 or 4 days a week, just because there's so much information, and they're always doing some different type of report, and I am so thankful for them. Another organization is called Made Safe. This is generally semi-new in the past, I'd say 5 to 10 years. And Made Safe we're very lucky to have them as well. They are now, and definitely pull up their website, but they have a certification called Made Safe Certified. And if any product has their certification on their label, it goes through such rigorous requirements to get that label on there. And it's a nonprofit too, so that's another one to look at. It's in my mind, it's sort of still up and coming, because it's not that well known, but a lot of people do know it, and I follow them very, very closely, and are constantly using their research and their reports to share it with other people, because I think the work that they're doing is just phenomenal, because they're stirring the pot in the industry of personal care products, bedding, so many different products that are so toxic out there, and companies are starting to pay attention that some of these products, just for bedding can be so polluted with chemicals. Some of the beds out there are just made with all these toxic chemicals, and you're sleeping in these beds. And Made Safe has certain beds that they have certified Made Safe. So I encourage everybody to look at that too. One other thing I just wanted to mention that is somebody turned me on to this a couple of weeks ago. I was like, wow, this is so cool. It's actually a plugin, and I'm not a tech person, trust me, but somebody sent me the website and it said, do you want to use this? It's called Clearya, Clearya, Clearya. And so Clearia is, when you go on, so I shop a lot on Amazon when I, if I need something, but it'll be, when I look at a product, it'll have a Clearia tab on there, and Clearia has already done a review on that product, and it will tell you what, if it's toxic or not. But just look up, it's a new up and coming app, I guess it would be. I did it on my computer, and every time I pull up Amazon, it's there when I pull up a product. And I heard somebody talk about it on a webinar a couple days ago. So it's starting to be another one out there. So you're hearing a lot of these different apps that are helping people decipher between all these different chemicals. Another one that is just up and coming, actually, I think they were on Shark Tank. It's called Cancer Detect, or Cancer something. I'm doing a little bit more research on that because somebody reached out to me about this. And it's basically is just going to show you how cancer causing that product could be. So that one I still have to do a little bit more research on. But the point is being there's avenues out there that we can all use and use in our back pocket to look at these products as you are trying, at anywhere that you are trying to buy it, whether you're at the grocery store, you're at Rite Aid, you're at Sephora, you're at the health food store. Now they're not all listed, but at least there's resources out there, because years ago there never were anything like this, and we're just very fortunate. And it's all about alternatives. We have alternatives, and you have choices. We all have choices, and we have choices to make and avoiding cancer causing chemicals. And that's the key here, is that there's alternatives that you can buy that you can put on your body that don't have all these harmful toxic chemicals, because there's so many choices that you make that you have no choice. Once you walk outside your door and you're in our outdoor air and you're breathing in other fumes. So that's the key, is to, it's in your hands and your choices to when you are purchasing these items. Anything else, Sue? Did I miss anything?
No, you know what? I just wanted to say what you said earlier too. I know it can get a little scary, and you can feel overwhelmed, like, oh my God, I have to get rid of this. And you start going in your house and you're throwing everything out, and you don't know where to start. And I think you just start in one place and just maybe start using a different mascara, or start using a different shampoo, and just start like that. And so you get comfortable, because it's not like you said, knowledge is power. You don't want to be fearful, because you know what? Honestly, you're advocating for your own health. You're advocating for our children's health and the well-being of our planet and everything. So, you have a huge support system. There's a ton of people now that are on board. And like you said, companies and people are just saying this isn't acceptable anymore. So don't be afraid to just start, and the help is out there, the guidance is out there, and there's people like you, Therese, that are doing all this really good work and sifting through stuff, so you can guide people that might feel overwhelmed of like where to start. And like Environmental Working Group is a great place to start. It's reputable, they're doing good work, and yeah. So, but I am going to have to jump off. So I thank you for having me. Okay. And I look forward to talking to you again, and I hope everybody stays well and gets a lot of knowledge. Knowledge is power.
All
I'll
right.
see you later. Okay.
Good dinner. Thanks, hon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. So on that note, we can talk. I'm going to bring on Ginny Dent Brandt. You can see her somewhere. Oh, there she is. And Ginny also is a cancer survivor from a very aggressive form of breast cancer. And her diagnosis sent her on a quest to discover what caused her being a health nut. She was a health nut, to figuring out why did she contract this deadly and aggressive form of breast cancer? And she's going to tell us how she changed her lifestyle and was on a mission to prevent cancer from ever coming back again. She was not going to let it win. And she's a speaker, she's a writer, she grew up in the halls of power in Washington, D.C. She's battled cancer, she's ministered around the world, she served on the front lines of American culture as a counselor, educator, wellness advocate, and adjunct professor. Her award-winning book, Finding True Freedom from the White House to the World, was endorsed by Chuck Colson and featured on many TV and media interviews. Her recent book, this book right here, as I have it, Unleash Your God-Given Healing, 8 Steps to Prevent and Survive Cancer, won a Golden Scrolls Award and was featured on CBN's Healthy Living show. It was written with commentary from an oncologist and a medical researcher. Her quote was, "Our world," and in her book, "Our world and our daily lives are full of toxic chemicals and we are paying the price." I asked her to come on today because her story, I could have talked to Ginny for hours. It's fascinating what she did to get over cancer, to now avoid cancer, and to help people and to share her story. And I asked her to come on because in her book, on one of her chapters, she has prevention on a budget. And she has so many things that she can talk about here. But Ginny, welcome. And I'm so glad you came on. She's coming to us from the Clemson area of South Carolina. And welcome, Ginny.
It's great to be here. I want to preface what I say by this because Sue is a breast cancer survivor too. And what was a shock to me when I was diagnosed was that the doctor sat down with me and they said, there are 8 risk factors for this aggressive estrogen-fed breast cancer that you have. And I didn't have one of them. And so they did extensive genetic testing, and the genetic testing showed nothing. And so I'm sitting there going, okay, then why did I get this estrogen-fed cancer? And that's what, as Therese said, sent me on a quest. And that quest, I researched for 3 years. And some of the things I'm going to talk about today are in there. But I did find out some of the things that helped to cause my cancer. I mean, it's just realistic that everything has a cause. And I knew something had caused it. And if I couldn't figure out what caused it, how could I prevent it from coming back? So Sue and I faced the same battle. And one of the things that was, I think, the difference between me and Sue, I don't know if she found this out in her body or not, but she and I were talking about some of the same things. But what I found clearly was that I had my body tested, the tissues tested for chemical residue. I don't know if you've known anybody who has done that, but I was desperate to find out what was going on here. And some of the things Sue talked about, aluminum, lead, mercury, parabens, phthalates, glyphosate, Agent Orange pesticide, about 20-something chemicals and metals were found at extremely high levels in my body, and many of them were endocrine, as Therese said, endocrine disrupting hormones that contributed to my having an estrogen dominant cancer. So I want you to keep that in mind, because chemicals were found to be one of the major reasons. When I showed this work to my doctors, all this lab tests from Great Plains Lab, they went, whoa, we didn't know you could have that measured. Well, I didn't either for a while. And so when I tell you prevention on a budget, some of the things that I would do now if I could go back, I honestly believe that if I had known what I know now, I wouldn't have gotten cancer. And like Sue and like Therese, I'm trying to help people prevent from having to go down that road, because it was a 6-year journey of all kinds of treatments and all kinds of things I didn't really want to have to do, but I had to do it to save my life. So if anybody cannot go through that, that would be a victory for me. So let's talk about some of these things. One of the first things I learned, it took me about a year to do this, but you must filter your drinking water. I mean, because what's coming through our water are things like the chlorine and the fluoride, which interfere with thyroid function, which is a major part of preventing a lot of illnesses and cancers. It's your major regulator in your body. So it's important that you drink filtered water, stop drinking from plastic bottles, because when you drink from a plastic bottle, especially if it gets warm, those plastics get into your system and they're endocrine disruptors. I drink from steel and glass and ceramic. And so I will carry my Yeti with me everywhere I go. I'll carry steel containers on airplanes and fill them up, you know, with the little stations they have with filtered water. But this is very, very important because all those chemicals got in my body. And I know some of them are coming through food and some from the environment, but they were coming also from my drinking water. And so you've got to consider that. Now, Sue mentioned this, and it is important. I do use the EWG, the Environmental Working Group's Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 list to help me decide what to order in a restaurant when I'm eating out and I can't control that it's organic, right? Most restaurants, you can't control that, but there are the clean vegetables and fruits that I know I can order and there's not much pesticide residue. I just wrote a blog post about this on at jennybrandt.com about the takeaways from the new list that just came out about a month ago. But that Dirty Dozen list, I wouldn't even think of eating unless it's organic. So it's important to prioritize so that you can, you know, live off of a budget and not have to buy everything organic. I also advocate, number 3, that you buy organic meat as much as possible, whether chicken or whether beef, because when that cow and when those chickens have been fed feed that are GMO and have lots of glyphosate in them, that is going to be passed on to you. I've even heard doctors say that it alters the gut of the cow. And when it alters their gut, it's going to alter the meat as well. And again, there was a doctor in a famous OBGYN at the University of Alabama, and a friend of mine who's in her 80s told me that he told all of his patients, do not eat foods that have had hormones added. It's just, he didn't have the scientific research at the time. I think he does have it today, but he told them that up to 40 years ago, and his patients have heeded his advice, and he has low rates of breast cancer because he warned people about common sense things. So think about the fact that when you purchase organic dairy, okay, and that milk or that meat has not been, you know, gotten from a cow that has been fed hormones to make them make more meat and more milk. You know, that's something to think about, especially with hormone-fed cancers. And men are not left out of this picture here because 90% of the men who get breast cancer, are you ready for this? They're hormone-fed, estrogen-fed. Now, that absolutely blew my mind. So these things are affecting men, but not at the rate that they're affecting women. Another thing I advocate people do is to have a freezer, because in order to buy organic and buy quality food, you have to buy in bulk. And so it's important to have a freezer. We also talked about, when Sue was talking about these personal care products. When I started examining mine, they were all filled with chemicals. I had never thought about it before. And I do think it's important to find replacements. I give good replacements in my book, but you know, the cheapest thing I can tell you to do is, I love when Sue said, I don't wear as much makeup anymore. Neither do I. And my best moisturizer for my skin is coconut. I use it as a base for a lot of the things that I make in beauty care products that I make at home. It's just a natural thing that has no chemicals at all, and it's inexpensive. So that's a good tip right there. I've also found it important, took me a while to realize this, to phase out the use of plastics in storage. When I make these meals and put them in my freezer, I put them in glass. It's okay if they have a rubber sealed lid, as long as I don't let the food touch that lid. But again, it's important not to store things in plastic and to eat off plastic and eat with plastic utensils. Use your china and your silverware and your, things that aren't going to leak these estrogenic things into your body. It's also important to consider the proximity of your hair to your brain when you're choosing shampoos, hairsprays, hair coloring, and perms. I used to get 3 to 4 perms a year because my hair is straight as an arrow. And then realizing that anything that touches your skin, as Therese was saying, 60 to 70% of it goes straight into your bloodstream and is circulated through your body. I no longer get perms. And if I was getting hair coloring, I would get organic hair coloring. These are just things we have to think about because that brain is so important. And doctors today will give you medicine on your skin because it'll absorb so easily into your system and so quickly. So we have to think about that when we put something on our skin. Through our skin. I do advocate making some of your own personal care and cleaning products. You can use things like white vinegar, which is cheap. You can use baking soda. There's all kind of combinations with essential oils and things that you can go online and find recipes for and make things easy and make things reasonable. I also do about twice a week intermittent fasting. If I eat dinner at 6 o'clock, I'm not going to eat the next day until maybe 10 o'clock in the morning. That allows my body to concentrate on healing and to actually detoxify and to kill off some cells and some things that may be too toxic or just starting towards cancer and disease. So intermittent fasting has been used throughout the world for many, many years, and I'm now using it to keep myself healthy. And one thing I do every morning is I drink 2 glasses of water in the morning to hydrate myself, and then it's followed by what I call my detox drink. It's in my book, but it's taking like a tablespoon or 2 of apple cider vinegar, the Bragg's mother tincture one, and fresh squeezed lemon, a little bit of honey, red pepper. I put a few essential oils that are immune building, and then I add hot water to it, and then I drink it down. So that gets your liver going in the morning and helps to do a little bit of a detox cleanse every single morning. And when I don't do that, because I go out of town, I've found that I get in trouble sometimes. To be perfectly honest, we went to the Virgin Islands. I didn't think I could take all that with me, and I got COVID while I was there. But I didn't get a bad case of it. So it's that detox drink is also immune building. So I wish I had taken it with me. Maybe I wouldn't have gotten COVID, but now I have natural immunity to COVID. And I'm hearing more and more from doctors. I talked to a doctor today. She said she's seeing her patients 6 months to a year of natural immunity, at least, just from having a mild case of it.
So you're done with your COVID and that's good. And your
It's behind me. It wasn't that bad. I didn't know I had it because it was so mild. So, but it did make me exhausted. You could definitely feel something was going through your system.
Jenny, how long have you been a breast cancer survivor?
It's been 6 years,
6 years.
Not 15 like Sue. But when you have an aggressive breast cancer, half of the people that I went through the journey with in different parts of the country, and some of them at home, we were all treated at different places. half of them did not make it. They, the treatment is so harsh because it's aggressive that you can die from the chemicals, the chemo itself. And some of them made it a few years, and then you can die because of the side effects of the chemo can last up to 5 years, giving you an incurable leukemia because you've destroyed your red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets in order to kill the cancer. So that's why I'm really big on, hey, please don't go down this road. Put in a plan so that you don't have to get cancer. If you get it at 80, I wouldn't be as upset. When your immune system starts to go downhill because of aging, things are going to happen. But you don't in your young life and in your middle-aged life, like when I got it at 58, it's avoidable. I really believe it's avoidable if we'll understand what's causing it. And I think toxins is one of the big causes for me. And the more I see, the more I research for cancer patients that call me, when I look up their cancer, one of the things I'm seeing listed, even at the Mayo Clinic and the MD Anderson, some of the top places in the country, is toxic load is a risk factor for many of these cancers. They're actually listing it on the website. There's certain known toxins that help to cause certain cancers, but that overall toxic load distracts your immune system. And that's why what Therese is teaching is so important, that you understand not how to eliminate your toxic load. There is no such thing. We live in a toxic world, but to keep it low enough where your immune system can function as God intended.
And that's a very good point, because you do as much as you possibly can to reduce your toxic overload. And the other issue here is that these chemicals, they may say a certain chemical is okay at a certain level, but the problem is these chemicals are all mixing with one another, and they have no idea what is happening with these chemicals that are coming through your system, through makeup, through food, through water. And there are so many that are coming into your body that's a huge issue, that nobody knows what happens when all of these chemicals are in your
The synergistic effect, yes.
and
Something
then
to think about.
right, exactly. And it's a scary thing. And I've done a lot of research on water recently too. And I know you touched on water a little bit. And water is the chemicals that are in the water. So the chemicals that they are using, either chlorine or chloramine, to kill the bacteria is great. That's wonderful. They're using that. But the problem now is all of these other chemicals that are coming in to the water from runoff, from streams, from pharmaceuticals, from waste, and they are in our water, and our water treatment plants not treating those. So again, they don't know what is happening with chlorine and all these other chemicals, and how that mix in the water is then coming out of our tap. And then you've got these new chemicals called PFAS, which are these forever chemicals that are coming in from other different avenues of products, and fire retardant,
Flame retardant.
flame retardant, thank you. So that's, people think our water is safe to drink, and they say it's safe to drink because they're testing for bacteria, but what they're not testing for is the level of all the chemicals that are in the water.
They're not, and I gotta tell you this, Therese, flame retardant was one of the chemicals. I didn't know what it was, and so I called a scientist, and they said, oh, that's flame retardant. I couldn't even pronounce it. It was high in my body as well, and I was like, okay, how could this be high in my body? I am not drinking flame retardant, but it was coming through clothing, nightgowns, things in the mattresses. It may be coming through the drinking water too, but the point is it's coming from somewhere. And I had to realize, when you put on that nightgown to go to sleep, if it's been processed with flame retardant to protect you in case the house, which mine hasn't caught on fire yet, but in case the house catches on fire, when that touches your skin, your skin, again, when you sweat, it can breathe some of those chemicals in. So it made me look at what I was washing my clothes in. If that can happen, then when I wash my clothes with Tide laundry detergent pods that are filled with chemicals, what happens when I sweat or my skin breathes with that, right next to it?
Right.
So, you think about things you would have never thought about before.